Hi everyone, Workspace Wizard about to demonstrate how I created a CRM using Google. Now, this is the first edition, so it's not as fancy as it will be. And for those of you who think this is overly simplified, that's okay. The reason I did this is that my brain struggles with regular CRMs. And what I mean by that, and if you've got a better suggestion, I'm open to hearing it. But what I found is most CRMs require that I remember the name of the company or the individual, and then I go in and I open my notes. However, my brain doesn't work that way, and that's all well and good if I'm just making notes, and I will always access those notes in context. However, I have a neurodiverse brain, and the way my brain thinks is very nonlinear. So I will generally remember I had a conversation with somebody about horses. Very random topic, but I'm trying to remember that person's name. And so I needed something where I could actually search and find the word horses rather than trying to remember the name first and then the conversation. So what I started with was the premise, what if I used the power of Google for search? And that's where I had the aha moment that the whole point of Google Drive is that I can search and understand things and find things. So this is a very, very basic CRM. And my advice to you is a basic CRM is better than no CRM. And for all the salespeople out there or all the solopreneurs or entrepreneurs, you should have your own database so that when you change positions, change careers, change companies, you still have your contacts. And again, I'm not trying to be sneaky. I'm not saying steal your corporate contacts, but I know for a fact as a salesperson, we get to know people. We get to know receptionists. We get to know conference organizers, etc. If you don't track that, you start over every time you change jobs. So if you don't want to spend a lot of money and you don't want to pay to set up a CRM, this is a really good solution. Now, the good news is I'm pretty sure you could do this with free versions of Google, but I know for a fact it works well on the basic paid version. So all I did was I created a folder called CRM, and the heart of it is this spreadsheet. This CRM logistics, this is just where I'm making notes. The CRM spreadsheet is where most of my stuff is going to live. And then in this contacts folder, this is where all the data will live. So basically, I'm just going to show you this. So it's a very, 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 very basic. Let's just hide that. So it's a very basic spreadsheet. I've got the date I added them, their first name, last name, connection type. It's a drop down. So maybe I met them, not likely, but possibly through Facebook or most likely LinkedIn, email, introduction, referral, or my podcast. And then I have a detailed notes column, which I will show you. And then I make a note of my most recent contact and then my phone number for them, email address, mailing address. And then depending on projects, I might lump them in a group and then I'll make some notes. Now to refine this, I would probably add a next action date so that I can filter and sort, but this was the first edition. And so this is, I'm going to say it out loud, it's just a spreadsheet. Don't come after me saying your CRM's just a spreadsheet. I know. But it's not just a spreadsheet. It starts as a spreadsheet. So here in this detailed notes, you'll see I have the first name, last name of people. And yes, I put ChatGPT in there because I was running out of ways to track all the different conversations. But basically, when I start a conversation or I have a conversation with somebody, I create a new document, and that's where my contacts folder is. And basically, I won't go into one of these because I want to respect people's privacy, but basically within each individual file, and my naming convention is simple. I think of people first name first, then I go, oh yeah, their last name was so-and-so. So I have my files named first name, last name. You do you, whatever works for you is great. And once I create the document, I just right click, come down to share, and I copy the link, and then I manually paste it into the document. And you'll see here I can tab to replace it. So I've got a nice, easily readable. But what that allows me to do is all of my notes for example, Daniel are in there. And I can go in and I can see the last time we talked, details, and basically what I have in the Google Doc is I use level H1 headers for dates. And I am in the midst of creating a template. So basically, I have their first and last name. So I really rely on the headers. So first and last name, I put it in title case. And then, and this is really cool, we can add, what are they called? Smart chips with the date. So I can put in the date. And I can even put in the time. So let's say it is 8:30. I can change the time zone if I want, but there it is. Now what I do so that I can find this easily later is I put the dates in H1, heading 1 formatting, and then I just go through and I start typing notes. And what I like about this is I can put in notes right after a call. I can, usually what happens is I use Google Meet to record the call. I get a transcript from Google Meet. I'll put any links like that in there. I can move the video into my folder. I can save the transcripts as well. But this document is the single source. So if I've promised them something or if I connected them with somebody, I'll make notes of, introduced to so-and-so, willing to introduce me to so-and-so. I make all my notes here, and the things that I know are going to be important to me, I make notes of. And then later, if I think of something, I've got a place to go. So it's a really, really basic CRM. Let me just close that. So now I have this new contact template. The next step is going to be really, really cool. This is not something for a quick tutorial today, but basically what I'm going to do is add buttons in my Gmail and in my calendar so that when I get a new email that's important to that contact, or when I get a new meeting, it'll send it over and put it in the actual document for me. So that's the next iteration, but for now, I just wanted to show you, if you don't have a CRM, if you don't want one, or if you use Google anyways, really easy, and you'll know better. And this is why I chose Google. I can change things on the fly. If I decide I need another column, I can add it. If I decide I no longer need a column, I can take it out. And if you really wanted to make this fancy, and this is going to be the next iteration, I'm going to use a Google form, which will take the data from me, and it'll create everything, including the entry in the CRM document, as well as create the Google Doc, and so on and so on. So this is the basic CRM. Don't judge me. I'm aware it's a spreadsheet, but anything I have in Google, whether it's Docs or Sheets, and Sheets in particular, I can turn into a workflow automation like you wouldn't believe. So as an example, just again, not set up yet, but I will do video on this. I can create a column saying send thank you email. And when I put a value in the cell saying send, it will automatically send it, and it'll come back and maybe write in this column, it's date sent or something. It'll put the date in there. So it'll automate a lot of the automations in my workflow. So for example, I get a lot of people saying, oh, I forgot about the meeting. Could you remind me? I put all those reminders into Google Calendar, but I also like to send people an agenda. So maybe I have an email for that, and I can customize it for each person. And then I can extract data from my Google Doc and send it via email as well. So this is just the starting point. I realize there are tools like Zapier and Make and N8N go high level, but if you're already using Google, why waste your time and energy on other tools if you can build one customized just for you? Now, I would argue that a proper CRM is a good relational database. I just haven't found one that works the way my brain works. And full disclosure, I have tested at least 50 different software packages for CRMs, and most of them have a linear single entry point. I have to know the name of the company or the name of the client.